Welcome back. This is Newslink. Let's bring you this now. Anxiety and depression in pregnant women are major risks to mothers and newborns. But there seems to be a reluctance to screen and test for these conditions. A UCT study looked into the reasons for this. So let's find out what they are from Zulfa Abrahams, who joins me from UCT. Zulfa, thank you so much for your time. Quite an important conversation to have. So why are we seeing this reluctance in terms of screening for depression and anxiety amongst newborns and mothers? And pregnant women, rather.
We found that there were several barriers, not just one, and the barriers occur at various levels. They are related to both patient barriers, so experienced by the mothers themselves, by the caregivers or the providers, as well as system-level barriers. So it's not quite as simple as one would think. Would you like me to elaborate?
Yes, please just elaborate further in terms of why it's not so simple.
Okay, so the barriers, if we think about it from the mother's perspective, the ones we've identified was the lack of confidentiality in clinics, or perceived lack. So they're often worried that the nurses would tell each other. There were small communities. Often there are curtains in the clinic rooms, and so other patients could also hear what they were saying. And then with regards to abuse was one of the, domestic abuse is one of the big issues leading to depression and anxiety. And we found that there was such a level of shame amongst patients where they were almost feeling guilty for being abused and thinking that other people thought it was their fault. So these were the most important barriers to women disclosing how they felt. And then on the level of the providers, which were mostly nurses, because our health system is nurse-administered healthcare, nurses found that they had problems with time, a huge patient load in our clinics, making the time they had with patients very limited. And then there was also this feeling of discomfort in speaking to women about mental health issues because they hadn't been trained in that way. They were clinicians, and they were happy to deal with the physical manifestations and not mental health issues.
So, Zulfa, if I may just come in there, what do the numbers tell us in terms of statistics of women who are struggling with this?
So the levels are very, very high. Let me just remind you. About 18% of women in low and middle income countries suffer from symptoms of depression, and 34% experience feelings of anxiety.
Yeah. And what are some of the symptoms therefore detected? I mean, if this is a disorder or perhaps something that women are dealing with in private, what are some of the symptoms that one can maybe pick up to say, hey, I think there might be a problem?
So from the mother's point of view, it's lack of being able to engage with other people, wanting to isolate, not talk about how you're feeling, this feeling of hopelessness or helplessness, like they don't have a way out. And this is particularly evident in low and middle income countries and in our poorer communities, where there are various social issues that interact as well. So, you know, lack of food, living in an unsafe environment. There are just so many issues that cause these feelings of depression and anxiety.